Part two of school absences. This is really interesting. When I've been looking at the reasons, there's plenty of places saying, that wagging is wrong, being a truant is wrong, parents are wrong for not sending kids to school. I don't see anyone here saying, are schools actually of any use to the child? Now, it's really interesting, and a lot of places don't go into this, but they ought to. It can get complicated, but I tell you what, you probably will only get truancy, or it will only be dealt with if you're from a working class or poorer background. Because, first of all, a lot of public schools don't offer what private schools offer. But that's it's not another story, actually. I think it's related. I think in a lot of the private schools, or the schools where wealthy children go to, first of all, if they wag or truant, that'll be quite interesting to see their reasons for it. But they are lower. And they are lower because the children are brought up to believe that education is important. Okay, and they're encouraged to do things. A lot of children in rich schools and well-to-do schools are encouraged to do things to improve their lives. Also, a lot of the rich schools offer they have much more interesting offerings. And I think there's an assumption amongst teachers and parents and the media and society in general that there's an assumption that's always been there, even though they don't like to admit it. And that is, poor children learn these things and do these things this way so they can go over here in society, and middle class and rich children learn things these ways and have these interests so they can go over here in society and do well and succeed. And I don't put it that way, but I think that still very much exists, and I see it as one of the problems, actually. I tell you what, because I come from a working class background, and if I knew what I knew about rich schools now, well, later on in life I got to know quite a bit about what happens in private schools, as I would much rather go to a private school if I was a poor kid and take advantage of all the wonderful subjects that they have. And I wouldn't be wagging, to be honest. I think there's a lot of shit that hasn't really been covered, and that a lot of kids even their parents, there may be completely logical reasons as to why the children aren't going to school. And it's not just about, not necessarily wanting to be there. I think it's the Ministry of Education and the politicians and the schools that have to look at themselves. And they've got to figure out what it is they need to do to change so that children turn up to school if it's so important.